Good afternoon, everyone. Today is a happy occasion where we welcome new blossoms in the Bose tree. Today's occasion is more special because just a day before was the Teachers' Day.
We take this occasion as an opportunity to wish all the teachers of our beloved institute a very happy Teachers' Day and to convey our heartfelt regards to them. We further pay our deep and humble respect to all the teachers who came across in the small span of our lives and thoughts, who motivated and continue to motivate us directly or indirectly to pursue the research of truth of nature and life. We hope with the blessing of our respected teachers, we can continue along this path with ever-increasing spirit.
To continue, let us not read out an usual note of thanks or present here some pedagogical phrases about teachers, teaching and all that. Rather, we ask in today's context, what significance this occasion brings to us, the students, and perhaps to the whole academic community and society at large. We are too naive to answer it, but with the modest heart of a learner, we try to find the answer while paying our heartfelt gratitude to the greatest teachers in the true sense of the terms.
Let us stop at this point for a minute. Do we want this occasion to become a mere formality? Do we want to forget for the rest of the year the message we ourselves are going to convey? We prefer not. Let the small observance today is not of mere adjectives. In a small diversion to an apparently different context, we hear what the great poet Nazrul had to say. যেদিন আমি চলে যাব সেদিন হয়তো বা বড় বড় সভা হবে, কত প্রশংসা, কত কবিতা হয়তো বেরোবে আমার নামে। দেশপ্রেমিক, ত্যাগী, বীর, বিদ্রোহী, বিশেষণের পর বিশেষণ। টেবিল ভেঙে ফেলবে থাপ্পড় মেরে, বক্তার পর বক্তা। এই অসুন্দরে শ্রদ্ধা নিবেদনের শ্রাদ্ধ দিনে বন্ধু তুমি যেন যেও না। যদি পারো চুক্তি করে বসে আমার অলিখিত জীবনের কোনো একটি কথা স্মরণ করো। তোমার আঙ্গিনায় বা আশেপাশে যদি একটি ঝরা পায়ে পেশা ফুলও পাও, সেইটিকে বুকে চেপে বলো, বন্ধু আমি তোমায় পেয়েছি।
Bearing the spirit of the message, please allow us to remember for ourselves some old thoughts from few of the greatest teachers of all teachers, which we will feel to be too much required today. At the beginning, let us remember Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, the second President of India, in whose honor the day bears the name.
The end product of the education should be a free creative man who can battle against historical circumstances and the adversities of nature.
With this context, it is worthwhile to remember the universally acclaimed scientist Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. APJ Abdul Kalam was the 11th President of India and a great scientist and science administrator at the DRDO and ISRO. His message, especially to young people, is to have courage to think differently, courage to invent, to travel the unexplored path, courage to discover the impossible and to conquer the problems and succeed.
After a gloomy period, as long as a millennium, if we ask how the noble ideas of education and teaching sets in, we have to trace back to the first lights of Indian Renaissance, lit most intensely by none other than great Vidyasagar, known to be the first man in Indian soil and an emblem of undeterring humanism.
Vidyasagar was also the father of modern Indian education. That was merely the dawn of the Indian education. He realized that the country needs to overthrow the Himalayan barrier of the old and prejudiced systems of thoughts and practices, and recover to replace it by the cultivation of new men and women. This great educator delved into a historic lifelong struggle to establish a scientific, secular, comprehensive and inclusive education for all, But who can shoulder the Herculean task of imparting such an education? Differing from the usual concept of guru, he said,
the teachers must acquire complete grip over the vernacular, a concrete and comprehensive knowledge in several areas of life and learning, and must be free from the prejudices that the society is crippled with. My sole purpose and the place is to produce such persons.
the lights of Renaissance mingled with the urge for true freedom, bodily from colonial exploitation, and in spirit for the growth of human mind and character, curbed and shaped the thoughts on education. The new India, thus envisioned, is embodied in the following lines by Kaviguru.
Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arm towards perfection, where the clean stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert of sand-fed habit, where the mind is led forward by the into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my father with my country away.
The call of the awakening is resonated into the voice of Swami Vivekananda. Education is the manifestation of perfection already in man. We must have life building, man making, character making, assimilation of ideas. If education is identical with information, the libraries are the greatest sages of world and encyclopedia are the rishis. We want that education by which character is formed, strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet.
The life story of Acharya Prafulla Chandra Rai, father of Indian chemistry and one of the pioneers in Indian science education, is nothing but the story of the effort of the subsided nation to stand on its own feet in all aspects of its life. He had a disregard for so-called good boys. The great teacher later wrote, "Good boys are like dolls. They have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, but they cannot hear. They have no personality, individual character. They cannot think for themselves. They do what everybody else does."
When the infamous Rowlatt Act was imposed in 1919, he came to the forefront of protest. He is the scientist who not only uttered it, but taught us by creating example. There are occasions that demanded that I should leave the test tube to attend to the call of the country. Science can wait, Swaraj can't. Not only by his classes and research, but by the life he lived, made Acharya Roy a living example of highest level of ethics and morality of a scientist and a teacher.
After Vidyasagar, the ideals of a teacher and educator perhaps found its highest impersonated form within the character of the Tiger of Bengal, Sir Ashutosh Mukherjee. Ashutosh Mukherjee was most emphatic figure of Indian education and science in the formative years and was a lifelong, bold, uncompromising fighter for free education. Rather than quote, one or two stories might be more appropriate here.
In 1902, British government identified the universities, including the Calcutta University, as centers where young people formed networks of resistance to colonial domination. The cause of this was thought to be granting of autonomy to these universities in the earlier century. Thus, during 1905 to 1935, the colonial administration tried to reinstate government control of education. In 1923, Mukherjee refused the post of Vice Chancellor when Governor of Bengal, Lord Lytton, tried to impose conditions on his refinement. In a famous letter, this towering personality replied, "You offered me slavery in one hand and money on the other. I reject this money. If required, we will lose your service and live with our limited means. We would rather start freedom first, freedom second, freedom always.
After the incident with Professor Oten, Subhash Chandra Bose was expelled from Presidency College. There was immense pressure on Sir Ashutosh, then the Vice Chancellor, to rusticate Subhash from the university. But he could not allow the academic life of a student to be nipped in the bud for standing up against injustice. Instead, he arranged for young Subhash to continue studies at the Scottish Church College. This was the character of a person whose very existence was identical to soul of education. Lord Lytton himself said that Ashutosh, in the eyes of his countrymen and in the eyes of the world, represented the university so completely that for many years Ashutosh was in fact the university and the university Ashutosh.
It is of no wonder that this disciple Subhash Chandra Bose, who will become Netaji, envisioned the great morality of a teacher in the following terms.
The leaders of education must be living human beings in true sense of the term. That is, not with their speeches or classes or arguments, but with the leading example of the fervor of their ardent character. The teachers will disseminate in their students the love for fellow man, will build them to be courageous, truthful, selfless in a single word, into person of unparalleled character and value.
The above quotes and ideals taken together constitutes the most desirable image of a teacher and of education. In more modern context, this image is captured, although upbeat partly, but in a most elegant form, through a masterpiece by someone who resided in the other part of the globe. So, finally, let us gloss through